Mr. Chairman.
Good afternoon. I'm now going to call the Wednesday, July 21st, 2021 meeting of the Norfolk County Commissioners to order. On Thursday, March 12, 2020, Governor Charles Baker issued an order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 20. That order was effective immediately until it is rescinded or a state of emergency is terminated. On Wednesday, June 16th, 2020, by action of the legislature, the order was extended until August 21st. April 21st of 2022, excuse me.
April 1st.
April 1st. So what that means is we're open and we are live here today, but we're also on Zoom for those who participate at home or in their office. I'm going to ask everyone to stand and to join me in saluting the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. This meeting has been called to order. I'm going to take a roll call. Commissioner Collins. Present. Commissioner Stady.
Present.
And Commissioner Shea is here. We have a quorum. Item number 3. I'm sorry, before we go into item number 3, I'm going to make a suggestion if my fellow commissioners agree. We have a full agenda here today, 19 items. Item number 9 is personnel matters to be considered. It is my suggestion, if
It's item 10.
possible, to extend item number 9 till the end of the agenda. We'll take care of all business and then do personnel matters last.
You said item 9 and Commissioner Stady said it's item 10.
It's item 10. You're correct.
No big deal.
Thank
So that'll
you.
be taken up at the end of the meeting. right?
Correct.
So people will know.
Yep.
Makes
Okay,
sense. Fine. No problem.
Okay, I think that'll streamline it. So
Yeah.
if anyone's here for personnel items, we're going to do them last. And other than that, it's a regular agenda. We do have an executive session first. So item number 3, we have an executive session pursuant to purpose 1 of the open meeting law. To consider complaints against public officers, namely the members of Norfolk County Commissioners filed with the Commissioners by Marguerite Lee, First Assistant Register, on behalf of the Norfolk County Registry of Deeds on July 1st. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
Motion.
It's made by Commissioner Collins. I'll second the motion, Mr.
I'll
Chairman.
take a roll call vote. Commissioner Collins,
Yes.
Commissioner Stady,
Yes.
and the chairman votes yes on a 3-0 vote. We are going to go into executive session, and I may state that we will be returning for purposes of completing the total agenda. Should be 1-minute recess while we go into executive session.
Through you, Mr. Chair, you're all set.
Okay, we're back on the record today at Wednesday, July 21st, 2021.
Should we get the people?
Meeting of the Norfolk County Commissioners for item number 4, which is report and/or vote in response to an open meeting complaint from Marguerite Lee of the Registry of Deeds.
No,
We wait for,
we're waiting for the steno.
I'm sorry, we're waiting for a stenographer.
right, that's
Bill.
stenographer, right? That's what.
Press room.
Bill and Bill. Okay, I got Bill, but no Phil.
Fill and Bill. Big thunderstorm watch coming.
I heard.
Yeah.
Hail, winds. Crazy summer.
I didn't hear it last night.
How the crowds down the Cape this summer?
Crazy.
Put off by all the rain.
No, they're all back, but they're frustrated because a lot of restaurants don't have sufficient help. In fact, many restaurants are not open on Wednesdays or Tuesdays, which is unusual. They're taking days off just to allure people to work the heavy days, right? So it's been a different
So
summer.
it's not normal.
Not normal. No sense.
Yes, Phil.
Not normal.
It's not really been a beach in summer.
Is that solved? Oh, really? Okay.
Hey, Phil, we're all set.
Is that the new one? No.
That's the new password.
And you hacked everything
Okay, Phil, we're all
else.
set.
Thank you, Mark. All right, so I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Again, we're back on the record on our Wednesday, July 21st, 2021 meeting of the Board of County Commissioners in Norfolk County for regular agenda. Item number 4, report and/or vote in response to open meeting complaint from Marguerite Lee of the Registry of Deeds.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion that we allow the chairman to issue a response letter. Marguerite Lee, in response to the open meeting law complaint.
All right, I'll second that motion.
Motion made and seconded to empower and allow the chairman to forward a letter to Marguerite Lee of the Norfolk County Registry of Deeds about an open meeting complaint received on July 1st, 2020 against commissioners, and a copy of that letter to the Attorney General, Division of Open Government, which will hopefully bring them up to speed on this matter. Well, I'll take a vote. All in favor of forwarding these two letters, Commissioner Collins?
Aye.
Commissioner Stady?
Yes.
And the chairman will vote aye. That concludes the matter for today. Next item, number 5.
I wasn't here for the meeting last week, so I'll stay out of voting on the minutes.
Right. They look fine, Mr. Chairman. I just had a question for you, of course,
Yes.
to our director, because I'm a little confused on one thing that was noted. There was a question I asked about the next meeting for the, all the counties to come together. And notes indicate August 7th, but that's a Saturday.
You
So
pointed that out last week.
Yeah,
I think
and
we
I-
settled on a date, but I'll let John tell you. I didn't
Okay,
get
so
it.
I wanted to make sure we amend that, or
It's August 5th.
fifth, okay. So should we vote to approve the minutes as amended and change the date to August
That's,
5?
I believe that's an order.
That's what I saw there. Okay.
Good catch, Dick.
That time. All right, so I'll move, Mr. Chairman, that we approve the minutes of the commissioners' meeting of August 14th as amended. So moved.
All in favor?
You have to say.
Aye. I'll second it.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye,
2-0. Thank you.
And I'll abstain because I wasn't here.
right.
Correct.
That's August 5th. Yeah.
Okay,
And-
number 6, I'm sorry. Minutes of the executive session meeting of July 14th, 2021 for approval and not released at this time.
I'll move that we approve the executive session meeting minutes of August 14th,
That would be July 14th.
July 14th, sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And again, I'll abstain. I was
That's fine. 2-0. Number 7, public comment. I do have one public comment I received in writing. It's in your package. Received a letter from our neighbor, Carla M. Foley of 92 Old River Place, well known to us here, dated July 14th. I'm going to enter it into the record, and then we can discuss it today or take it under advisement. It's addressed to John Cronin, copy of 3 commissioners. Says, it's been brought to my attention that Norfolk County is negotiating with the town of Dedham regarding public use of the parking lot directly behind the registry of deeds. My husband and I have been resided at 92 Old River Place since March of '83. It is our feeling that this arrangement will have a direct effect on the value of our home and our lifestyle. This will also encourage a great deal of trust working with our court system, which I feel creates a danger to the employees and the property of the courts. This is an overly complex area for traffic, and to encourage more use of things not this requires profoundly serious consideration. It is an unintended parking lot with 6 entrances and exits from Old River Place and Ames Street, but I believe that she's corrected the Ames Street for, because I just was handed a note. It is a constant use as a cut through to avoid the lights at the corner of Ames and High. I respect the requested meeting to better explain my concerns and knowledge of previous experience we have had in regard to the proposal this time. Thank you for your time. I was handed a note today. It says, I sincerely apologize for incorrectly referring to Needham Street other than Ames Street. It is very careless. Please accept my apologies for other board members. Mr. Stadium, Mr. Collins. Okay, I think she's misnamed one of the streets, but I think we all understand what it is. Do think it's worthy of discussion. And I learned from Commissioner O'Brien, the late great Commissioner O'Brien, that the Foley's have been excellent neighbors here for a long time, and I know Registrar Wall's here, and I'm sure would vouch for their attention and great job they've done here. And they're right behind the Dedham Court, right next to the parking lot that we use, and right next to the side street, which is River Place, I believe. And it's probably been prompted by that visit from the folks from Dedham 2 weeks ago. So I want to get it on the record, and I want to be able to reply to her that we'll
When was that?
do whatever you want to do.
When was that event for you? What was that event that we were talking to Dedham about, or the date on that?
2 weeks ago.
Oh,
When
it's already
the,
happened.
when the Dedham staff came before us to
Right.
discuss some plans for downtown parking,
Right.
future use of the Dedham Police Department, and some discussion regarding overflow parking and parking arrangements was laid before us. There were no decisions made.
Okay.
Yeah, the woman who wrote the letter is right. There's some consideration of parking at the very rear
Mhm,
of that lot
mhm.
for overflow, because they're trying to direct the on-street parking for individuals trying to use the businesses, get in and get out.
Mhm.
But and other long-term parking would be encouraged to possibly use the park for a lot. Apparently, there was some work done on an MOU before I arrived with former Director Mullen, and it was not endorsed, but it would have made arrangements for the access for that exact purpose. So I think Dedham was looking to circle back on that, Commissioner, and we just resolved to talk about it with more details to follow.
Okay, so I'm probably a little confused. I thought there was a specific event that they had coming up, and they wanted to allow us to use their parking for that event. I thought there was something coming up in August. And I recognize there's a long-term thing here too. But I thought wasn't there an event? Oh, Billy.
Through Mr. Chair, yes, the commissioners did till, I think maybe 3 weeks ago now, communication from the Norfolk and Suffolk, Norfolk and Dedham group, which is the direct about behind the parking lot. They're having a staff item in September. It's just a one-off
Okay,
2-hour event where they're going to show the staff the progress in the building. I believe the whole staff is remote right now,
okay.
and they're doing that in conjunction. It's called the Dedham Community House, which is across the road on the other.
Right.
But that's a 2-hour.
If I'm hearing this right, this Carla Foley, these couple are concerned about the long-term Dedham problem.
Correct.
In terms of
I think,
addressing that. Okay.
we, whatever you decide. We have 5 or 6 times a year requests. I think the prom
Yeah.
did some formation there or used it to
Yeah.
Dedham High. I think
Yeah.
at graduation they've used it.
Right.
Sometimes the movie folks use it, but we generally give permission, but people go through us. I know the register is informed and they weigh in. And that's been going on for 5 years that I know of. And, but I don't believe that is the issue with the town of Dedham so much as they came in as a continuation of the discussions they started with Mike Mullin about general downtown problems. And I think Mrs. Foley wants to be part of the
Sure.
discussion.
It would help, Mr. Chairman, for me, if I could get a site walk or just see it. It's always great to see something before we do it.
Okay.
You're not going to deliberate today, right? No.
I don't
Do you need a
expect
vote
we
today,
could,
or-
but
I mean,
I want to get her letter on the record and we'll carry it with us and we'll
Traffic's-
get back to her and tell her when we're having the next
Right.
meeting.
I'll tell you right now, I think traffic is always a problem at
Yes.
the local level, and parking. Every town can't get enough parking. So Dedham, obviously, you feel for them, they need parking. I would say one thing I would say that I would like to look at, I would suggest that we take a good look at with either our maintenance people, Mr. McGowan, and or our traffic or engineers, in terms of something to slow down and deter those cut-throughs. You could do that with signage. You could do that with speed bumps. There's ways to kind of mitigate traffic calming things we could look at. I suggest that for the record, to look at that and investigate that. And maybe with your permission, the board's permission, John could talk it over with, John McGowan and the engineering department. It might be a nice little project. That could help a little bit. So that they're not cutting through and they're not raised. We don't want that. You could do that. There's traffic calming things you can do with signage and bumps. As far as the parking, I don't want to deliberate in that now. I'd rather see it, see how close it is and what the effect will be to her. We want to obviously help her, but we also have to take care of, that.
Well, I think we
Yeah.
absolutely,
That's a great idea. We can definitely work with maintenance
Would that be
to
good, Frank?
try to do something.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And regarding the parking, I do have a copy of the lot that I
Okay.
can make available.
Oh, great. Yeah.
And it shows the number of spaces, which I think is about 265.
Okay.
There's a fair amount.
Mhm.
Some are reserved, but this will give you the scope and the lay of that lot.
Mhm.
So we can certainly provide that to you, and I'll talk to facility maintenance.
Maybe if we created a small buffer area or prohibited certain parking to help the neighbors
Mhm.
give her privacy a little bit, and that way a compromise. But let's look at the county first.
Sure.
That's it,
Good idea.
Thank you. Do you need-
okay. And,
You want action on this thing?
I think we should
Maybe,
take a motion to take it under advisement and then include Mrs. Foley in our future letter.
so I'll move that we take the letter dated July 14th, Carla Foley in her request under advisement. And also that the county director at least begin some preliminary investigations to traffic calming in response to her concerns. That'd be reasonable.
Fine by me.
Motion made and seconded to take this matter of Dedham Square parking brought to our attention by Colin Foley under advisement to include her in our future dealings with the town of Dedham. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Includes this matter. Number 8, appointments, I have none. Number 9, old business, I have none. We're going to skip number 10 for temporarily while we finish the agenda, and number 10 will be at the end of the agenda. Number 11, payroll and expense warrants for approval.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I would move, we only have 2 items here for the warrant list of July 21. I would move 22-03, the county payroll in the amount of $138,966.02. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Next.
And I will move the final one on July 3rd, 22, or the warrant list of July 3rd, 22, expense for the county, $1,444,722.20. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote. Thank you.
Okay.
Number 12, bid openings. The first one is for legislative consultant for a period of 1 year with 2 one-year options to renew for the Norfolk County Registry of Deeds. Ladies, we have Nancy
I have one bid for the Carroll Group
Rockwell and Michelle with 2 bids. Go ahead,
out of
Nancy.
Boston, Mass.
Thanks, Joe.
We acknowledge the minimum criteria. I bid first year pricing August 1st, 2021 through July 31st, 2022. Hourly rate $180. Full retainer $32,000. No change with year 2, year 3. The hourly rate has increased to $185 an hour. And the full retainer $33,000 per year.
I'm sorry, who was that? Yeah.
The Carroll Group, they're out
Carol,
of Boston.
They're existing consultant, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I have plumbing work as needed. The Norfolk County Agricultural High School rebid for a period of 3 years. I have one bid from DNF Plumbing out of Dedham, Mass. They are the present vendor. Regular time licensed plumber, year 1, $112. No change the second and third year. Apprentice plumber per hour, $75 per year. No change for years 2 and 3. Overtime licensed plumber, $168 an hour. Year 1, no change, year 2 or 3. Apprentice plumber per hour overtime, $112.50 per hour, no change here, 2 and 3.
Is that bidder also bid the regular county work in emergency?
Yes, he is
Same-
also, we have a separate contract for the county. He is the,
Okay,
Presently.
doesn't coincide with the school law.
no,
Okay, second question. When they say overtime,
Mhm.
does that mean over a certain amount of hours or? does
no,
mean
that
after
means
4 p.m.?
after normal business hours
Okay,
or
that's my
weekends, which
That's
really
good.
doesn't occur that often.
And how long have we had the school?
We've had him for 6 years.
Commissioners, your wishes, if we,
Just a quick question.
Oh, sure.
Again, yes. So is that consultant group for the registry? or
It's
is
for
that
the registry of deeds.
Okay, so that's what they do?
absolutely, oh,
That'd be-
I'm sure, but I'm gonna call on a register to answer the
That's fine what they
question.
do.
I have the same question.
Oh,
Why
good.
can't, well, let's ask the
Yeah,
first
sure.
question. Go
All right,
ahead.
for you, Mr. Chairman, may I ask the
Sure.
register?
Bill, while you're here.
Yeah. what's the-
I think I know what they
Well,
do.
no,
but-
that's all.
No, they've been a long time in the employ of us. Sometimes the missions overlap, but
Okay,
as far as legislative issues up at
Oh, it's the hill.
Capitol.
Oh, okay. One of those.
Yeah.
hills.
Yeah, so
Okay.
Paul, Paul White, the former
yeah.
state senator from
In the county,
Milton County, Dorchester, Milton, that district, and Steve Carroll, a former legislator as well, and they have a group, and it's been there, and it's been needed. There was legislation for different things, so
Good.
they
Okay.
do a nice job, and I know they've also helped out with the counties.
second part of the question, I have the same
Yeah, and do we
question.
have a consultant ourselves?
Well,
That's what I was
the
wondering.
history,
Right.
the short history that I have is 5 years.
Yeah.
We haven't had one, however, the Combined County Commissioners Association, which your commissioner, your fellow commissioner is the president, on legislation that we've been filing for several years, we had retained someone, Rasky Associates, not paid by us, but paid by the dues paying members of the 3 counties.
Okay,
And I did deal with them, with Peter and Commissioner O'Brien.
okay.
But in furtherance of that question, and I think, because I did speak one time to Paul White about it. Bill, have we ever had, when you say overlap, have the commissioners in the past used the Carroll Group?
Have we ever used it?
No, I don't think so. It was
Came up.
just, on some things, just put a good word in up there and things like that, but not officially,
Okay.
one of those things.
Something to think about.
Yes, it is.
You know,
I mean, I don't want to reinvent the wheel, and
No,
I
no,
personally
but
know
maybe
the
it might be,
Carroll
we
Group.
could, we would look at it either enlarge the job or, something to think about, especially we have, I think we have several things pending, don't we? I believe we do.
Well,
Was it 3
I
or
think
4?
arguably we could have some, but there's probably more than you think. And
Yeah.
I defer
Yeah,
probably to Assistant Director.
I actually have something under items not anticipated on that matter that I'm working on absolutely pleasantly
All right.
with Rep. Galvin staff.
I've often wondered, but again, it isn't, but we did with the 3 counties. No, actually Dukes was involved too. Retain
so
Rasky
the County Association of Massachusetts.
2 years ago on
Has a
the,
consultant on the Hill,
right.
and we all pay dues for that, and part of that.
That
goes
was
to
not paid by Norfolk
Okay.
County, right? It was
Okay.
paid by the
Interesting.
combination.
All right, great, oh, good to know. Thank
Okay.
you. Yeah, thanks, Bill.
Any other questions? I need a motion to take those under consideration. I hope we'll be able to take care of them next week.
I'll move we take under consideration the legislative consultant as presented by Nancy for the registry of deeds and also the plumbing services for the Aggie School.
Motion made and seconded to take today's bid openings for legislative consultant at the registry and number 2 for on-call plumbing services as needed at the agricultural high school under consideration to be voted on at a future date. All in favor?
All right,
Thank you. Number 13, we have no contract awards. Number 14, in your packet, a request from the Mark A. Susi Scholarship Fund Golf Tournament
For the charitable rate.
to get the charitable rate on July 24th, 2021. There's a very nice letter here outlining their history with us, and again, they're requesting that we extend this rate. It's only a week away, so we'd like to take care of it
Yeah,
today.
Mr. Chairman, if I could direct the question to our director, could he furnish to us the address for this organization? There's no-
The individuals that have
Yeah,
applied.
there's like no.
Yeah, there's a letter here, and I'm sorry.
Doesn't say where they're from. or-
I know, they're from Milton,
Okay.
East Milton, yeah, but we can get you with
It's
anything
a
you need.
scholarship fund for a hockey player who passed away.
Okay.
No,
No, I'm not all in favor. of it. Funny is, I have a friend in Canton named Susie, so I wonder if that's family. And it could be related. It's, there's a brother lives in Milton, so just curious, that's all. I didn't know.
I know they're for a long time.
The request came in via email.
Oh, okay,
So if you want an address, I can certainly forward that to
Oh,
your benefit, okay?
great. Yep, thank you. So we'll remove the request of the Mark A. Susi Scholarship Fund for a deferral on fees for their golf tournament to be held on July 24th of this year at the golf course in Quincy, President's Golf Course. I would move that.
Okay, but it would be a deferral of fees. It's the charitable fee rate is
Sure.
different. And it's in both Milton and Quincy.
I will stand, I'll make that, sure. Thank you.
Okay, second.
Actually, well, you said waive the fees or give us a rate reduction.
Yeah, it's a we never waive the fees. for charitable.
Okay, we charitable. Okay, thank you. Look, good to know. So I'll move that we reduce the rate for charitable purposes consistent with past practice for this scholarship fund.
All in favor?
Aye.
I will note that the 24th is only 3 days away. We need to call.
Yeah,
We probably need to call this right. Thank you.
No problem.
Number 15. Letter from the View Restaurant relative to rate relief of the View Restaurant, which is managed by the Butler Group at our recreation facility at President's Golf Course. It is in your packet and defer it to Director Cronin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The item was received by this office from the proprietor of the View Restaurant seeking rate relief for the period of June 21 to November 21. In your packet, I've given you some brief information of the background of the contract, what brings us to this point. Would like the opportunity to follow up with the operator of the course, Mr. Carl Miner, to get his opinion on this request. And with your indulgence, we'd like to table this until our next meeting to allow for that feedback.
I'll make a motion that we table till next week. So you could have a chance to talk to Carmine.
Yeah, I'll second that. I would obviously, we want to try to work with them. We've done it already.
Yes.
We want to keep helping them out, but we want to see, I'd like to see that. I'd like to see, so it's broken down for us clearly, but check with Colin. That makes sense. Yeah. Also,
Okay, all in favor of not tabling this, carry it on next week's agenda until such time that Director Cronin can have a conversation with team in Boston. Carl and all in favor?
yeah, oh, yes.
Thank you. Yes, the vote- it is a vote.
Yeah.
And there's some backup here that was prepared by the director. And then we have a 5 or 6 year history and, with COVID, we got a little rocky, but we're trying to work with everyone. But
He did say though, and I just want to point out, I think in a couple of emails, I think he may have sent them to all of us, but they're having trouble with the staffing. And all the restaurants are suffering with that. It's just hard to get people. Hopefully, the weather will cooperate and they can, rebound. Hope so. But anyway, thank you.
next week.
Yeah.
Thank you. Moving right along. Number 16. Report on American Rescue Plan Act of 2021, Director Cronin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The latest update include a few different items for you. We continue to have weekly meetings with our partners in Bristol and Plymouth. Last week, we were joined by the Bristol County County Director, and we discussed the pros and path ahead for collaborating with Plymouth County on their model It was a pretty robust conversation, very cooperative, I might add. Bristol is in the same situation we are in that they had not managed CARES. So we're listening, learning, and Treasurer O'Brien continues to be very gracious, cooperative, and forthcoming with ideas and thoughts on how the three counties can work together. We will continue our weekly meetings going forward. We'll have one again tomorrow. My level of understanding is growing. These meetings offer me the opportunity to ask questions. Tomorrow, we'll get down to a more serious level of how the program would work from the perspective of communities. I think we all have to understand, he has recently awarded a contract to a CPA firm, so they haven't developed the program yet. But the concept of what Plymouth wants is basically mirroring or mimicking their CARES Act program. So he's got a lot to share, and tomorrow I'll spend most of my time for questions on the experience that the communities can expect if we go in their direction. Furthermore, I want to call your attention to the need. I know we reached out to Commissioner Stady and Commissioner Collins asking for your feedback on any additional CPA firms that you would like us to interview. I'll need that information by the end of the week because we want to contact them and schedule them for a Zoom interviews call sometime in the first week of August. The purpose will be to vet these firms, find out what their scale, scope, understanding of the federal grant are, and how much experience they have in producing programs similar to the ones we're talking about. That meeting's critical. And again, I'd like to stick to the schedule of scheduling that sometime in the first week of August so that we can then move to arranging a contract with the firm in anticipation of the large group meeting that was promised to the cities and towns of Norfolk County when the message went out on July 12th. Our hope is to have that meeting mid to late August for the purposes of giving the cities and towns a chance to ask questions. Earlier this week, I received a call from the town manager in Foxborough who had heard, rumors, innuendo about what the plan is to include. How do you think it'll work? Broadly speaking, to dispense any rumors through this forum, I can affirm that the task will be to distribute funds based on the 2019 census to the communities as a reimbursement program. Whereas the county of Norfolk has accepted the program and the treasurer is responsible for managing the funds, we are now on the hook with the treasury to make sure that the program adheres to the initial final rule and all the elements of the grant program. We will do all that work for the communities, but it's important that the communities understand it's going to be a reimbursement program. They're not going to get all the money at first. They're going to work with us to develop proper programs, proper grant applications, and all the backup. And we're going to move in a very deliberate and planned fashion. So when we meet with them next month, I hope that they bring their questions. We bring as many answers as we can get. But we'll stress the need for patience as we deliberately move in the direction of handling this program responsibly. So I encourage you both, I've already gotten feedback from Commissioner Shea. So if you have any feedback on CPA firms as soon as possible is great, and we'll add them to the list.
Yeah, quick question on the CPA firms, if that's okay. I don't want to wreck your roll up.
Go.
Okay, on the CPA firms, I know that we were trying to not mimic Plymouth, but we were thinking about a collaboration of effort. So is each county going to have their own CPA firm? Is that the idea?
Great question. We can, if we wish to. In fact, we may have more than one CPA firm. There are a lot of different ways you can do this. But Plymouth is saying now that if we elect to go with their programmatic model that they'll pay for, right, through their firm, we will have to use their CPA firm. So there's an inherent handshake between the need for cooperation of accepting their firm with their program. Does that answer your question?
So if we want to be on their program, we have to use their firm,
That's correct.
and we're considering their program.
We are.
So the CPA firm one of the CPA firms we would consider would be Plymouth.
That's correct.
Okay.
And there's a possibility we may look at a smaller firm to add a second level of compliance to the process. The Plymouth model, which I embrace with respect to compliance, is tri-level. The first level of compliance will be defined through the program and the CPA firm, the major CPA firm. The second level is the compliance between the treasurer's office and that second CPA firm. The third level is compliance, is my review of each application before it goes out for payment.
Okay. Yeah,
No, great question.
going to flow.
No, it's a great question.
Is it your hope or expectation prior to having the meeting with all the, say, town administrators, that we are at the CPA in place?
Yes.
And if so, you're always great on this. What's our timeline for that?
So again,
Get your CPA firms and vet them. and
right,
all
so the CPA firm is exempt from Mass General Law, Chapter 30B. Once we review these firms, it's up to this commission how quickly you wish to establish a contract or through vote.
that.
If you vote promptly that day, we can move to bring them under contract just as quickly, and begin enjoining them on the work to prepare the program.
Mhm.
Whether or not they're part of the conversation we have with our communities is strictly up to you. There's pros and cons to that.
Mhm.
I don't want to put a selected CPA firm in the crosshairs of questions that they can't yet answer.
Mhm.
That's our job, is to listen and receive that. But I guess we'll have to play that out in a month or so. But again, to reiterate, my hope is to have the large group meeting by the end of August, the third, like when the commissioner gets back from his vacation.
The thing that I think you're gonna see too is, as we move along a little bit, all of us, now they know where the county's getting the money. We've made that clear. And they're still gonna get some of the towns saying, like, how much we're getting and how soon. But a lot of them now are asking, more importantly, how do we go about it? Like, what do we have to do?
Mhm.
So we obviously want to make sure we have that clearly outlined as well when we meet.
I think that's the right word, Commissioner Stady, outline. I think we'll have the concept really well firmed up.
Mhm.
Upon acceptance of the firm, we'll need some time to build that program from the concept. Many communities are probably going to ask the other question, if I may anticipate it.
Oh, yeah.
When am I getting my money?
Right.
And we're going to stress patience. The goal here is not to rush through a program of such scope and importance that it yields clumsy outcomes. We want something that's firm, robust, and survives a 3-year period to disperse funds effectively to the communities that so desperately need this through the pandemic, the impact of the pandemic. So I would suspect sometime in the second quarter, they can expect to see some funds through their reimbursement process. But I also want to reiterate, because I think I've already done this, we're ahead of the state. The state has not yet received or distributed funds to communities that exist in defunct counties. So we don't know when that'll happen, but so that the non-county government communities in Massachusetts still don't have a clue when they're going to get their money. So we're ahead of the process to some extent.
To your knowledge, did Treasurer Bellotti receive the payments yet? That we received the funds?
I had a meeting yesterday with department heads, and Joe said that they had not as of yesterday.
Okay,
But to your point, and I think we're just reiterating something that came in last week, an important one,
yeah.
the treasurer successfully applied. So
Applied,
it's
right.
typically about a 4 to 5 business day period between the time when they receive the funds. So
Good,
imminent, but not as of yesterday.
great.
Good question. Thank you. Just a footnote, although this has nothing to do with the American Rescue Plan, I just wanted to add, speaking of federal grant programs, I met with the schools yesterday on a number of different things. And one of the items reflected the need for immediate improvements to their HVAC system in 3 buildings. The programs are eligible, in my opinion, for CARES Act. So I have sent the correspondence up to ANF asking for their consideration of the projects. If they think we can qualify, I'll get them the details. It's making use of a waning program that I think you all are familiar with, that extended into 2021 and expires at the end of this year. So trying to catch a little bit of lightning in a bottle to help the agricultural school improve 3 separate building HVAC systems. Just as a footnote, I know it's not ARPA, but I thought I'd fill you in on that.
No, it's good.
That's mine.
Thank you.
And that is all I have at this time for the ARPA update, Mr. Chairman. If there's any questions.
Any questions?
So county meeting for us, August 5, right? And no date yet for the group meeting yet.
It'll be right around, it'll be like,
Late
it's
August, or-
likely to be an off date,
You
by
know,
the way,
right?
right? Because it's going to be 20 to 30 minutes per firm on average, I would think, through the Q&A and the answers. And right now,
No,
we
I'm
have
sorry. I meant the meeting with the town executives, like Norfolk County.
later in August.
That's later. We'll be talking about that. Okay.
Right, but that meeting with the CPA firms will be a separate commission meeting. It's probably going to take a couple of hours. So it'll be like the 4th, the 6th, in that first week. We're going to have to plug it in.
Okay.
And the 5th, the Mass Association meeting.
The fifth is the
The
master.
fifth is the map. Is that
Is that
at the end of school?
agricultural?
It is.
Details will be forthcoming, time and place, whatever.
Yes.
Well, we're talking about it.
Yeah.
I know it's off the subject matter, a little bit, not really. Did you inform John Martin we're going to invade his school on the fifth?
We did. We talked food. He's up to it.
And you can plan.
I'm in charge of the sandwich,
Okay.
yes,
all
Mr.
right.
Chair.
I didn't
John's
say.
great, very great.
All right. And we'll charge a register.
One footnote, I just want to add for your benefit, Mr. Chairman, and for the other commissioners, this morning, we were interviewed by the Patriot Ledger regarding
Oh,
ARPA
yes.
for the county, so through you.
Really? Good.
I received a call yesterday from Wheeler Coppenrath, who's a ledger reporter. And I had a couple of questions. He did one I couldn't answer, and the second one was, how's the opera coming? So we gave him a lengthy update this morning. The Director and myself, literally 2 hours ago or 3 hours ago, and we also provided information on Plymouth County and Essex County to maybe if they want to join in, because he writes a story both for Ledger and the Enterprise, so.
Good.
And he had touched on it, probably the last story was in May or June. We didn't have a whole lot for him. We know a lot more now than we did then, and at that time it was.
Yeah.
And we gave him a lot more information.
Well, in addition to the Plymouth and
Sent
Bristol
him a copy
County,
of our letter that we sent every city in town.
in addition to the Plymouth and Bristol County piece, he did make inquiry about the Cape Cod counties and how involved we are collaborating with them. And I thought Commissioner Shea gave a good answer there. We communicate, but we don't collaborate because it's a different system than.
Right, they've got the House of Delegates and they have public works functions, including dredging and other things, so they can use the money.
And medical, so they're nursing.
Oh, they've got
Yeah,
a
they got
huge
a lot of-
infrastructure there.
Yeah.
I just read, because it was sitting on someone's desk here today, I knew the Plymouth, I know Barnstable County is different. And they have the House of Delegates and I know they have all these direct programs, but they have a lot of programs,
They do.
including, the
They do.
dredging, the sewer, the water, and it's directly with them, not the towns.
I mean, and they're
Do all the
not,
purchasing for the towns.
that end of the Cape too, where I'm kind of down once in a while, they're starting to bring water down. And even they're starting to build sewer management treatment facilities. This is a new thing, the
And they
years.
voted to take the money, but they're going.
Right, so they're gonna.
But
right.
they have that,
Right.
again, that we don't do water and sewer,
No, we
et cetera, et
don't.
cetera.
We don't.
We have to go to the towns anyway.
Right.
We can get it to the
The
towns.
towns will be certainly looking for that, in the Cape, and I'm sure they'll be going up here too as well. So, yeah, that's good. All right.
Okay, last call on American Rescue. Thank
Good
you.
job, John. Thank you.
Number 17, report of the county director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Two principal items under facilities. I just wanted to call attention to the Dedham Superior Court work. I'll give regular updates, but for folks observing, the staging has begun at the location. Fencing has gone up to the right of the building, right rear. That is where they'll stage all of their equipment during the term of this project. I also want to announce that the company Olson has received permission and scheduled a drone flight of that building tomorrow, July 22nd at 10 a.m. They've informed the FAA as well as the clerk of the court, Mr. Timilty. So they're obviously doing that for assessment reasons of the conditions on the exterior of the building as of tomorrow. Stoughton District Court has encountered a substantial change order. The matter has caught my attention. Ms. Rockwell and I spoke yesterday, and we are scheduling a meeting tomorrow, 10 o'clock here, with all the parties involved to kind of come to terms with how we have arrived at the point where this project has encountered such a sizable change order. The change order could affect the status of the scope, and if it does, we may have to rebid. But there are a lot of questions regarding the decisions that are the recommendations that are being put forward on the structural reinforcement of the roof to support the weight of these HVAC units. The development is quite unexpected, but I hope to have something to report next week regarding the path forward. Any questions on facilities?
Commissioner.
If I may, for you, Mr. Chairman, I thought Stoughton was led to believe there was only going to be one side and minimal work, and now the other side needed. Are you saying more than we thought, or is this consistent with the preliminary report we got?
Mr. Commissioner, I'm at this time not prepared to explain the details of what this change and the scope include. I received the financial estimate yesterday, and it was enough to make me stop and ask for this meeting. The question you ask and others will be put forward to the engineer and the estimator. So I've heard what you've heard. We've reported what we've known to date,
So,
but there are some conditions now that seem to indicate the scope has changed a bit. So
Okay.
without further information, I'm afraid I can't give you the details
Right.
possibly until next week.
keep us up to date if you need us to be to join in, let's get a special answer
Absolutely.
on that one, like all of them, but this is getting crazy.
Yeah,
it's just-
absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Um,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
all good on facilities.
All good on facilities.
All right, Abraham's Group, we sent out a memo yesterday to the department heads alerting them that the Abraham's Group is winding down and they've begun drafting their various unit reports. Those reports, the findings will be collaborated with. Mark Abrahams will talk to the department heads about their feedback. I went through 8 of those drafts this past week with him over a few hours. I gave him my feedback. There are still 2 more that I have to review, including financial procedures, budget, and treasury. And I'll do that by the end of the week. I do understand Mr. Abrahams has contacted and has productive conversations with both Register of Deeds William O'Donnell and Treasurer Michael Bellotti. So their feedback and content will be incorporated into his draft report, which again, I want to reiterate, is tentatively scheduled to come before you on or about August 11th.
August 11th.
Yes, sir.
So that's when we're looking for the report. Now, is this,
Draft.
it's
That's right.
draft, is this the comprehensive report, all the areas, or just focus on staffing?
All the areas.
Oh, great, okay.
That's all I have, sir.
Okay, moving right along. Number 18, emergency items, topics the chair did not reasonably anticipate. I don't have any, but I think that I had a request from Assistant Director Buckley relative to.
Through you, Mr. Chair, while we were all sitting here, our dear friend, Representative Galvin, Canton's aide, Brett Hoffman, reached out to me. The House version of the bill we have filed relative to deeds fees is up for hearing tomorrow. They gave the standard 48 hours notice. The hearing is at 3 p.m. tomorrow. So a few offices, it seems to be getting around because Rep. Rogers' office and Rep. Phillips's office have also texted me saying, hey, we got the bill flag. We see it's up for a hearing. The hearing is only taking written testimony at this time. So after this meeting, what we'll do is we'll put together, I've also made Treasurer O'Brien aware. We'll put together a letter. I'll take a call with Brett about Brett will help through Rep. Galvin's office to coordinate the State House response for positive. These are the hearing is just the next step in the process. It doesn't mean it's going to get kicked out tomorrow. There's an opportunity for with written testimony to give testimony over the next couple of weeks, so we can, on top of everything else we're doing, just kind of shake the tree and get a few letters of support into the bill file.
When's the hearing, Kelly?
Tomorrow at 3. So
Oh,
I'll
tomorrow.
hop on and listen to it, but they're only taking written testimony, so
Oh,
what they'll
okay.
probably do is just read it in the record.
Yeah.
So there's not, unfortunately, there's no need to take a trip into the State House. Would
Okay.
have been fun, I'm sure.
Yeah, always.
We'll do it on Zoom. So that's all I have, but that just
Okay.
broke 20 minutes, 30
Okay.
minutes ago.
Good. So we'll have a letter sent in.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, moving right along.
That's good. Thanks, Bill.
I believe that completes all but item number 10 on our agenda, which is important. And item number 10, well, personnel is always on every meeting. I'm just looking at all my other papers here. Let me get this in there. So I'm going to draw your attention back, Commissioners, to number 10, which is personnel matters for consideration. We have one at the school, one at the Wilson Recreation Facility, and 1, 2, 3 at the Registry of Deeds. I'll take a motion, we can start at the top, which is at the school,
Right.
on top of page 2 of our agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I've moved the notice of termination for Trinka Schneider of Wellfleet as part-time school psychologist effective June 18, 21.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the notice of termination for Trinka Snyder of Wellfleet, Mass. As the part-time school psychologist at the agricultural school. She left on 6/18/21. All in favor?
Aye.
That is the vote. Thank you, unanimous.
Mr. Chairman, I'd move,
Wallaston Recreation
yes,
Facility.
I'd move for Wallaston Recreational Facility, notice of contingent employment for Andrew Viola of Milton as a seasonal grounds crew employee at the rate stated effective July 1.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the contingent employment of Andrew J. Viola of Milton as a seasonal ground crew employee at $14 an hour at the Wallaston Recreation Facility. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote. Registry of Deeds, may I make a suggestion? We
Can
do
take
number 2 and 3
Yeah,
first?
oh, you read my mind.
Good work.
Very good. I'm going to take first one, second, notice of, I've moved, Mr. Chairman, notice of promotion of Eugenia Sanchez of Norwood from principal clerk to head clerk, replacing Paul Bonda, effective 7/26/21.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to approve the promotion of Udenda Sanchez of Norwood, Mass. From principal clerk, 11/3, to head clerk, 13/3, replacing a recent retirement of Paul Bonder, effective 7/26/21. All in favor?
Aye.
It is a vote, 3-0.
Next item,
Next
Mr.
one.
Chairman, you get permission, I'd move the promotion of Christine Daphne, I got that right, Daphne of Norwood, from head clerk at the rate stated to head administrative clerk to replace Lauren Dutton, who we promoted, I think, the previous week. So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to grant to approve the notice of promotion of Christiane Daphne of Norwood, Mass. From head clerk 13/9 to head administrative clerk 15/5. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry, it's effective also 7/26/21. Next one,
That would bring us to the appointment of Richard Hatch.
that's the last one,
Right.
yes.
I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman. Here. So I'll move the appointment of Richard Hatch as Chief Information Officer at the flat rate provided annually to I'm reading this right here, hopefully, to temporary status group 110, said status to conclude on or before June 30, 2022. I hope I've read that correctly as suggested by council. It would be for Chief Information Officer. And we're replacing James Limby. Do I have that correctly stated?
Could you repeat that?
I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm sorry. So my motion was to appoint Richard Hatch of Plimpton, Mass. as the Chief Information Officer. The rate is stated. He would be replacing James Limby. It would be effective 7/26/21. He would be appointed as a temporary status group 110.
Correct.
And the temporary status would be to conclude on or before June 30, 2022.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to approve the appointment of Richard Hatch as Chief Information Officer, the stated rate annually, and that this permanent status group 100 change to temporary status group 110. This status of temporary is to be reviewed and concluded on or before June 30th, 2022.
Speaking on the motion? If I may.
I'm opening it up. It's probably
Okay, yeah,
before us
sure,
for
no,
discussion.
Peter?
Sure. Go ahead.
Right, so Mr. Chairman, we all know this has been an interesting episode for us as commissioners and for our county. Certainly, there's been an awful lot of things written and said, and I'm really hopeful that now we can conclude this and move forward in a positive way. It's very important, I've said, and I think we all kind of agree, that we have somebody in that position to safeguard our registry records and to make sure that everything is running properly. So this will go a long way. I also will say, as a new commissioner, there's a positive thing to this. I always try to look for a silver lining. My mother always said, look for the bright side. I worry, I'm going to admit openly, these blue papers are brought over, and sometimes we're told, just sign them, stamp them. It's a great thing to know, the council, that we as the appointing authority have discretion. And that's an important thing to keep in mind moving forward. We have the discretion. And as the council has pointed out to us, we can approve it, we can modify it, or we can, if we sometimes find cause, sometimes deny it. So I think what we're doing here is a compromise position in light of the Abrahams report and giving due deference to them, that we want to work with them, as we said, moving forward. At the same time, address registrars O'Donnell to have somebody in place. My last point was in a bigger picture, and maybe not related to this, but yet it is. I've seen in my short time here, these blue papers brought over, and it's troubled me a little bit, and I will chastise my friend, Mr. O'Donnell, politely, because in the record it said that Mr. Limby was going to retire back in December. And yet it seemed like we didn't find out about it until maybe, recently. There should be a policy. Most towns have that. If you're going to retire, you've got to tell the appointing authority so many months in advance. That way it will help us, both them and us, for planning. I mean, when I was a teacher, I had to tell the administration, I'm leaving, and it had to be by January. They had to know by the budget who's going to replace Stady and get going. We don't seem to have that. I seem like we get blue papers, and it's kind of brought upon us to just act on it. And like I said, maybe that's the way we did it. I don't think it's a good way. I think we need to improve on that. So my message suggestion would be, and if that has to be collectively bargained, I don't know if it does, because most of these people are under the personnel board. But if that's something we need to bargain, let's flag it for our director and us to look at. I think it's a good suggestion. Give us, I don't know what the number is right now, if it's 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, but for planning purposes, those blue papers should come to us. And we should, we know ahead of time. So if that said, I hope that this is a reasonable compromise. I stand behind it. I think it's moving in the right direction. And I obviously endorse my motion, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I open this for comment. It is open for comment. I do have one, but I want to ask Commissioner Collins. He has one, and of course, going to ask the registrar if he wants to speak.
Thank you.
And then let's have at it. Commissioner Collins.
Yeah. So, I think it's important to understand that our personnel decisions have not been personal. We have no issue with any of the individuals that have brought before us. And our concern in signing the paperwork, and it's not just for the registry, it's been at the maintenance department and other areas within the county, was really because we're waiting for the information from the Abrahams Group. We have a best practice report. It's coming our way. We paid $75,000 for it. We want to move forward with the best county government possible, and to avoid excess where it's inappropriate, and to better serve our constituent communities when we can. So none of the votes were meant to single out any one individual or any one department. It was all meant to move forward with the best county government possible.
Okay, now. I've spent an inordinate amount of time on this. I'm certainly not an expert, but I'm a practical person. And if you review the past notes, and this issue is only a month old, and more attention's been paid to this issue than perhaps any other issue since I joined this board 5 years ago. It is precipitated by the letter we received from Joseph Reardon, the Milton member of the advisory board, quoting the best practice study being done. In addition to that, we received an email from Mark Abrahams around the same time. I deliberately tried not to talk about putting all of this on the Abrahams group or hurrying them, because the registry or the CIO is only one small part of what they're studying. But it is costly. It took 1.5 years to get it done. And we're at 10-yard line going over, and I know I used that term last week or the week before. So I was caught between not blaming the whole world or not, not asking Mark Abraham to settle the world's problems all in a month. And waiting and allowing him to do all his work in a timely manner. I don't know the applicant. I don't know most applicants that come before us. And we never question blue papers as a result. But because of this process, the first thing you talked about is a very important issue. We had a lot of personnel changes this year in the first quarter. Somewhat at the top. Certainly superintendent of schools, certainly the county engineer, certainly the county director, and now the CIO position. They're probably the 4 top positions in the whole county. And it's never before happened.
With a new treasurer and a new county commissioner.
Okay, that's good, but the voters put them here, so I'm not gonna question the voters. I learned that lesson and.
Thank you, everybody.
The register may think we don't know it. It goes back, this is probably the first thing that Michelle McNulty told me. So I do understand that. Having said that, this issue about replacement and personnel planning, I'm sure it's in the report. During the issue that the acting director Labadini brought to our attention of unused sick and vacation days, which is only 8 weeks old. You'll remember in April, we came up with a new policy as it comes up. I had the top 3 people in one department give us a letter. They were all going to leave on the same day. Now, they didn't give it out of proper planning. They gave it out of, trying to illustrate their issue. And I understand their issue. But if that is to happen, it reminded me, along with the replacement of the county engineer, we don't have backup money in those cases, and I assume some of the other departments don't either. Now, I realize that the registry does because of the nature of the funds he raises in. Usually the register has the money. We're bringing people, and that happens quickly, so that's a money issue, and we should, regardless of what happens on the CIO position, look at that in the future. The other minor thing is, on these reports, it says job attachment must be attached to this form. In this case of Mr. Hatch, it absolutely is. But I've looked at them before and noticed that and never really questioned it. And I don't have a habit of questioning blue papers while I'm here. Maybe we need to tighten all of this up.
Right.
I am very concerned about the backup money. I do know in my previous employment, I was required as a department head in the city of Quincy about in 08 or 09, when the new mayor came in, who was the present mayor, that you had to the best of your knowledge, report to the mayor about who's going to retire in your department, to your knowledge, in the next year.
Yeah.
Why? Because the city of Quincy, prior to then, they do now, didn't have any money hidden away to pay people.
Right.
And, 4 or 5 policemen going out in the same month and everything, and with their sick and vacation, which they're all do, and our people would do this. It's a problem, and we're small, and we don't have the bounce back in any department except the registry, which in a way is a positive way.
Yeah.
So that is an issue, but that's not Mr. Hatch's issue.
You're right.
I truly thought and still think that we need to fill the CIO position, but we need to have the ability to review it. I thought it could be done in a month. That month is almost gone. It's taken on a life of its own, which probably doesn't deserve any comment today, but which will only take too long. And there's 2 sides to every story. But that's why I support this motion. I think it gives us 10, 12 months to review it. Make part of the recommendations of the Abraham Group for every department for the 23 budget. If we say we're going to get to it next week, it's 3 weeks away. If we say we're going to get to it in October, it's December. We got to implement the federal program. We got a whole bunch of new people on board, and we have to, get going. But doesn't it take time? I mean, this issue in the Stoughton Court, it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Just because everything's taking time, and I know COVID threw things off, and I know issue of cyber security and everything, and I'm not an expert, and I'm not qualified. to talk about much, but I know.
No, I'm just listening to the other things.
Hello?
By the person having called us yet, there's, there must be held up or just not in.
Not be muted.
I replaced two things in the printer. Yeah, I'm just gonna get that. So if you want to try something
Yeah,
that works,
okay.
Close
okay.
it.
yeah, we have to generate a column, so.
Okay,
Picture frozen,
I'm sorry to lose my train of thought, but
but yeah,
so I think this is an honorable and an honest solution. And then let's get this man to work and go from there. But everything's subject to review because everything in the Abraham's report is going to be subject to review.
right.
The registry is only one department. I don't ever want to get into a conversation about who's essential, who's not essential, but this, I went back and reviewed the minutes of the June 30th meeting. When this first rebounded a little bit and was a lengthy discussion. I asked about other employees filling in. I asked about what, may have been Commissioner Collins. I asked about how the registry would handle the breach today. He asked, okay, but basically I asked, well, what happened when the CIO went on vacation? The second thing was, we asked about the assistant director or the assistant computer person at the registry. And it says, Registrar O'Donnell stated he does not think any other employee can do this CIA job. He asked that if I thought the CIO job was an essential position. Said Chairman Shea stated it is an essential position. It absolutely is. And I want to go out the next week and stop this for another reason. But my main concern, it's the same as the plumber and a couple of maintenance men, which we're going to get to.
Yeah,
Not as quickly as this, but we're gonna get to it. And John McGowan is, and it came up last week, so
Mhm.
I'm not here to talk about that today.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about the maintenance. That's all I'm gonna say.
thank you.
I don't want to go back and rehash all this. I don't want to talk about anyone's qualifications. I don't want to talk about cybersecurity, and it disappoints me to read it in today's ledger story. But be as it may, I'm prepared to go forward today if possible. I want to make every effort to put this behind us, subject to the review that's everyone's going to be subject to. And the only reason I know something about this is because we've all talked to Mark about it and he asked to put it up. Do I know what it says about maintenance? No. Do I know what it says about the school? No. But I'm sure there's other stuff in there that has nothing to do with this. The timing, I think we can do a better way, and we can do a better job working with our department heads to plan retirements, A, for financial, and B, just because, hey, this, again, is the third or fourth top job in the county, let alone, I'm not gonna let people think that I think it's unimportant, because I think it's essential. I'm not gonna talk about what was the last one we just did at school?
The special education director.
Right. I later learned, maybe you knew about this, Commissioner Stady, that it's like a law, you have to have a special education director, et cetera, et cetera. And
That would have exposed us to lawsuits.
Yeah.
Right,
Well,
we
this may
indirectly
too.
or a lot of angst with parents. And in much the same way, like I had said, and I think we all felt that it's an accident waiting to happen, a lawsuit waiting to happen, so. Like I said, I think
Well,
it's a
we
compromise.
had a long first year, the first half of the year at the school too.
Yeah,
That's another
yeah. I
subject for another
Right.
day. And certainly solar is still very much on our
Oh,
plate.
yeah, we had
But I'm not complaining. I just want
quite a baptism.
to go forward. Everyone says the summer's quiet. It's not quiet in Norfolk County, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But we got to tackle these as they come in. Now, I'm going to open this up to Registrar O'Donnell only. I don't think there's anything more that can be said to make me change my mind or change my opinion at this time. I'm certainly going to look now to next summer. If we go forward, if we don't, we'll go to a next level, I guess, next week. And having said that, I'm going to ask the registrar for his comments.
Well, certainly, I'll have to process the details of what the motion means for the individual. And so clearly, a lot of me coming in here was to say why we needed a registry chief information officer without, rehashing what went on June 30th. But on behalf of the registry staff, believe me, we don't seek confrontation. We seek resolution of these things. And sometimes I think well-intentioned administrative proposals have unintended consequences. And I don't know where this chief information officer got linked with the Abraham's report. And again, whatever decision gets made here, gets made here. But the registry chief information officer is an important job. And, what was being submitted, you got, and I'll reference it, you got the interest systems report. I think that report, they're an expert in technology. They did a report that was submitted. Again, I just got it today. I submitted it to you. And I've also, for each of you, just for consideration, maybe not for today or for any other day. John, I think those were just
Is this the letter we got at 11, 10, 12, 11
I
today?
just got, yeah.
It is, we were given it. Shortly.
There was the intersystems report, and I just try to highlight a couple of things, and I'll only highlight two things. The intersystems report, and again, these people do IT, analysis, and they are a vendor of the registry, but also the county. So they've been on both sides. They know the IT infrastructure around here. But two main things that struck me is, one, they said at present, the registry of deeds in the IT area is understaffed. And then immediately, a new on-site registry CIO should be brought in. This quote would alleviate the current understaffing situation and help ensure that the registry operations continue smoothly and without incident. And I realize we're all trying to get to that goal. And I think we're trying to get to that goal because of just how important every job function is important, but I think a smooth registry helps the county. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts gets 90% of the $54 million that got collected in deeds excise. And it helps, the people that use the registry. And I was asked, and you may have already got it, and I was asked by the Real Estate Bar Association for Massachusetts, I guess they were sending something Federal Express here today. If it didn't get here, they wanted to make sure I put the letter in from Reber. And again, it was just stating the position about having a registry chief information officer, which we, I'll have to digest the motion. I think it's great to get somebody that's qualified like Mr. Hatch in here. I don't know the particulars of this type of motion as far as him, and I will have to, sit through and do it. But my preference. My preference would be a registry chief information officer who's a full-time employee here, who is treated like any other employee. And if there's some type of thing that happens down the line, the registry picks up all the costs anyway on something like unemployment, if that's where you're going with this. And I hope we're not going down there, because I think if you read it.
No, I wasn't talking about unemployment. I was talking about the impact when someone comes in next Monday and says, I'm retiring 2 weeks from today.
Yeah.
And then,
Well, that's a whole retirement. I
Yes, it
get
is.
it. I'm just, this is a funded existing position. It's been there for 20 years. Chuck Phelan from Quincy was there from 2002 to 2008. Jim Limby from 2008, 13 years to now. So it's a funded position. I just want to get somebody in that replaces the chief information officer and gets this thing going. And clearly, my thought is to get a chief information officer in here permanently, and then let the chips fall where they may. I want to thank John Cronin for organizing or getting Mark Abrahams to contact me. And, Commissioner Shea, I appreciate what you said. You're on the 10-yard line. But to me, that means, and Commissioner Stay's the football player. I don't play football.
Baseball too.
Baseball too, but in the football context, that means the football has gone 90 yards, and this was the first time Mark Abrahams talked. And with respect to the IT issue, I just don't know where it was linked, because to me, the registry chief information officer, we have a department of 2 full-time employees. It shouldn't be linked to the Abrahams report. And the only thing I got out when I pressed Mr. Abrahams yesterday and asking who he talked to, Mr. Colette, IT person at the Aggie School, Rick Fitzpatrick, Aggie School, Mark McDonald, IT for the county, Jim Limby, IT. And I didn't hear anything from him that said that the registry chief information officer, that any of these people said that it should be eliminated, that the registry chief information officer shouldn't be filled. And I pressed him, I said, did you talk to anyone else? And I had a pull out that he had talked to Chuck Phelan, because I know Chuck Phelan, we all do.
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah.
And Chuck has strong feelings on this, and I would say, I'm not going to speak for Chuck, but again, I didn't hear one thing yesterday, I'll leave it at that, from Mr. Abrahams that said any IT people that they talked to said that the registry chief information officer shouldn't be filled. And Mr. Abrahams said, perhaps there'll be, I said, walk me through how this is all going to work. And he said, perhaps consolidation is going to take perhaps. And I just think it's unfortunate that all this happened over perhaps. But I will assess your motion and where it takes us. I just, and I appreciate I appreciate that you appreciate there are people behind this blue paper, and Mr. Hatch has the support of my IT department. He's a talented person, and I'm glad at least I can have the opportunity to talk to him to see where this motion has put us. But again, most of the information presented was just to try to justify why we needed a registry on-site chief information officer, and I appreciate that there's a recognition that we need one, and whatever happens down the line happens down the line. But thank you.
Well, down the line is,
I met with the Abrahams report. Yeah.
I cannot guarantee, I don't know when the Abrahams report come in. I can't repeat this enough, and I'm almost,
And I appreciate that, Mr.
this is only one facet of it, but it's one he contacted us. And if you think, it was pre-planned, you get the wrong information. And deliberately, and I think the other commissions also have not had a lot of back and forth, because I'm waiting for the finished product. I want you guys to look at it.
I don't fault the commissioners on this being, and I thank Mr. Cronin. That's not on the commissioners that Mark Abrahams on July 20th spoke to me for the first time, and having been engaged. That's not on anyone in this room. But it is a factor, and I'll leave it at this, and I know I said it to you, to Chairman Shea. I said there was a wise commissioner that said something about the Abrahams report back in October, and it's in your minutes. Said the Abrahams report isn't the be all, end all, be all. And that was Chairman Shea said.
Right, but I also said, due to frustration and years of habits, I wanted a new set of eyes. And it started 15 months ago, and last September, we awarded the contract, and they've been working on it ever since. But if I heard new things through it, only drips and drabs. I'm holding out. I don't want to go to these cities and towns and say, here's a report you paid $75,000 for. You can throw it on, put it on the back of the mayor's desk, or put it on the chairman of the board of selectmen's corner office. And, I want to look at everything. And this came up. We do have some habits in this office, in your office, in the school, in the engineering department, that got to be looked at. I don't care who. The argument about we never did it this way doesn't hold any water anymore. You can't. Experience is a very good factor, because you can't run the county without experience. But some of this stuff is so old and outdated, and we don't even live by the face of it. And that's why I brought up the thing about a resume, not this application. But we're hiring people all the time, and there's nothing there. But and I don't want to go around as a commissioner and interview the people you hire. And I said that before, and I never have. We're hiring department heads, and elected department heads are in another group, but they're the elected heads, so let them have the sense and we hope they know what they're doing and they get good people. The ones we hire, we have some oversight of, but hopefully they come up and hire good people. And we went through it at the school and it got out of hand for a while, but it brought it in. And it appears to be, and there was some changes, and there's some changes in the new contract and the new superintendent. And we're not here to talk about that, but he's going, he's working. He was here yesterday. He's right in, he's there every day and we're excited. And the new engineers on the board, a new director's on board. I mean, I put this in the same category and somehow, and I probably regret I'm gonna say this, and then I'll shut up. Somehow, when it's registry related, it's always got frills or attachments, good and bad. Now, that might be because you're the biggest department, or you raise the money, I don't know, but not to hurt anyone's ego, all departments are important, but you're very important because of the way that counties do business and the way that we do business. And basically, it's a good situation, but we're gonna try to work with this. And that's what this was about. And this is our motion, and I'd love to be able to resolve this today. And I'm not gonna say another word. I mean, we got paperwork. I got people calling me saying, I don't even know why you need computers, so, but
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a quick question?
Commissioner,
Thank you for your comments. And again, I want to commend everyone involved in the process, good or bad, right or wrong. It's always good to see passion. And that's a great thing. That's a great thing. And Mr. O'Donnell certainly has that. And I think we all do. We all care a great deal about our county. We want to do what's right. We want to do what's best. I think this is a reasonable compromise. I hope
I
that
agree with
that Mr. O'Donnell, Registrar O'Donnell, I will say politely, will process it and take it in that spirit of moving forward. You had said you had a concern about the new employee. I don't know Mr. Hatch. And it's always difficult to separate, as you know, in our jobs, the position and the person. Well, giving him this status does afford him and his family benefits, which is important. It's important for him.
I don't want anyone not to get what
No, and so I
the
think
job
that's
deserves,
step one. It
both in
gives-
pay and
Right. And number two,
benefits.
it gives a position that is critical for your department and the safety of our county, which is sorely needed. And number three, it allows us as a team to process the Abraham report and to work with you collaboratively, work together in terms of what's good for the county. Let's move forward. Let's move ahead, and I hope this thing will go. I just had one other question. I thought that we had mentioned perhaps, if it's possible, to bring back Mr. Limby for a short time as well to help out in a consulting role. I didn't know if that was proper today or next week, but that was something I thought we had said he would be involved.
We don't
as
have
well.
any paperwork on that request. The
Okay.
request was made to the registrar on July 1st. So
Okay.
We await their request.
So maybe after this is
Originate.
settled, we could ask Mr. Limby, maybe for the transition, just like we do with special ed in the schools. We did that. The special ed director is having a little transition period. Might be good for this person as well to have the benefit of Mr. Limby to help us out for several months.
Sure, we'll get the paperwork.
That'd be great. Great. Appreciate that. I'll say no more. I've made our case. Move the question, I guess.
Okay,
Unless Mr.
on the,
Collins wants to speak. Commissioner Collins?
I'm good.
Okay.
on the motion that the Norfolk County Commissioners approve the personnel status form for appointee Richard Hatch as Chief Information Officer. Flat rate $129,067.40 annually, be approved with the following changes from the original per form blue paper.
Right.
Permanent status group change to temporary status group, which is a change in the number. The reason for the change should be in force from the day Mr. Hatch comes to work, which hopefully is July 26, 2021, until June 30th, 2022, for the reasons of the complete review of all county operations and registry of deeds, particularly CIO position.
That has no effect on his salary, right? Moving-
No,
Okay, yeah.
according to this, no. I'm looking at the original July 1, the figures are the same. This would require a change in the the group number from 100 to 110. Director Cronin.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman, the temporary status to conclude on or before June 30, 2022.
Right. I mean, if we, again, I always say if it's going to be next week, it takes till 3 weeks. I mean, if we resolve, if we could find out in January, he's all set and, we make him permanent, it just, not that we're just looking at CIO either. That's my point.
Right.
And I have one other question within the scope of this matter, if I could, before you take the vote.
Yes,
Adjourn.
because it's my hope not to discuss it after today. Go ahead.
Me too.
Whereas the commission has shown an interest in deferring candidates for backfill or new hire associated with units under consideration by the Abraham's report for consolidation, we've withheld 4 positions associated with facility maintenance that were fitting under the same umbrella, Mr. Chairman. Is the commission inclined to review similar appointments for individuals under that temporary code through to June 30th, consistent with this model, so that we may backfill those in anticipation of the Abraham's Group impact on our budget? May I move forward with the request to bring them forward to your consideration?
That's a good point, and as you'll notice, we've promoted 2 people today at the registry's suggestion. I think we did one last week. We don't have a stellar record of bringing people in off the street right now, but, promotions, I don't have an issue.
Are you
And it
saying
was in the approved budget
politely, I think you're saying to move forward on the maintenance position
and treated the
and
same way.
treat it the same way as temporary.
It's a good
So
suggestion.
it's not a bad thought. We'd show consistency. I'd rather, again, I know I made a point several times, John was listening. We need he's short-staffed, and I know we're trying to do the right thing here.
Well, everyone has a different style. John, he makes himself known to us, and then at the budget session, but
Yeah.
he argued for that other position. And,
Yeah,
his half a loaf
Needs
was
a
better than
plumber.
none, and then he said, okay, I'm not happy, but I'll go,
right.
And then he brought up last week, but I do not. In the middle of this, I was worried about talking about the maintenance positions, but I want to show that when it's not picking on the register. And that's it. I'm gonna take a vote now. And we'll-
So I just want to
you
find
can
out
have
if the
your last
commission's
word,
inclined to
anyone
receive
can.
that request. I guess that was the point.
I would be, but I'll defer to my colleagues.
If you-
Be a group 110.
Yes.
Sure.
Same model.
Yeah.
Be consistent, Commissioner. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll bring those forward.
All right, on the motion, I'm gonna take a roll call vote, and then I'd like a motion to adjourn.
Adjourn or recess? Are we still in there?
We're
No,
adjourned.
we're back in adjourn mode.
Gotta
The
keep it
book's
straight.
balanced.
Right, Phil?
The book's balanced,
Yes.
Phil, right?
Right,
We can adjourn.
all right.
On this motion made and seconded, properly made and seconded, relevant to the Chief Information Officer of the Registry, Commissioner Collins.
Yes.
Commissioner Stady,
Yes.
and the chairman's voting yes. It is a vote, it is unanimous, 3-0. I have no other business. We're meeting in a regular session. Got a couple of extra meetings this week. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
You need this per form, I don't.
Yeah.
That
Be in
goes
touch, Phil?
before I hire.
Okay.
Good.
Yep. Thank you, Phil.
Take care.
Yep, take care.
Take care.